If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first... There, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
Sunday morning. Well, we look up in the skies and a lot of things up there we don't understand. With us today is, like every Sunday, is Dr. Sky, otherwise known as Steve Kates, or Steve Kates, otherwise known as Dr. Sky. Well, Steve, what the heck is going on?
John, the world and the space area is filled with good information, but let's start and begin with the sun. As I mentioned last week in our Sunday morning episode, the sun has been belching out, John, these powerful X-level flares. That means that the Earth is being hit by these proton storms. And just last week on Wednesday, a major event called the ground level event. What's that? A solar flare on the X scale of number 5, which means that a lot of that radiation, the protons, are actually penetrating deep into the Earth. Does it mean that people have to be worried? No, but the chance, John, of seeing the northern lights and maybe some disruptions in radio communications are, all for the offering right there. The sun is continuing, John, to belch out power. But going on a little bit, teasing the mystery of the week.
Steve, me and you discuss things. I just can't believe mentally, because maybe our minds don't go not that big.
Yes.
How the sun just goes on forever and doesn't burn out. I mean, for billions of years.
John, you're right.
It is just mind-boggling.
It is amazing. But here's some details teasing the mystery of the week. We might as well give it now. The question is, how does the sun create energy over 4 billion years? And what goes on in the sun? John, imagine this. If we all got a utility bill about what I'm talking about, every second the sun is consuming 600 million tons of hydrogen. And it's moving into some 4 million tons that is converting some of that, to energy. And the rest, if you subtract it from the 600 and the 600 million, you'd wind up with seeing the rest of that is converted into helium. What's the simple explanation, John? It's called fusion. And that's something we're hopefully trying to get here done on the Earth. Can you imagine, John, if we had the ability to have fusion reactors, there'd be really no complaints anymore about the energy in this particular, on our planet. That would be quite amazing. But the sun's doing it, John, like you said, relentlessly for 4 billion years. And the sun, John, is not even a giant star. It's classified as a dwarf star among the trillions in the solar system and the universe, more precisely. Amazing stuff.
Mind-boggling.
Absolutely. And, John, closer to home, we're finding out that the Chinese astronauts, which they call Titanauts, on board the Tiangong space station, here we go again, they're saying that 3 of their Shenzhou 20 crew members may be stranded in space. Why? They're not revealing much. The Chinese do not really reveal any kind of failures. They don't like to report this stuff. They keep it under their hat. So we think, and this is what many space experts believe, that the Tiangong might have been hit by space debris, John. We've talked about that for a long time. So we don't know. It's a little too early, to jump the gun as to how these astronauts will be returned, or if not, they can get, maybe stay there for just a little bit longer. Kind of reminiscent, John, of what we had last year when we had 2 astronauts that were there in space, and finally they returned. So it's interesting. Space is becoming very crowded. Now, in the low Earth orbit, John, it's becoming overpopulated to the point that every time you take a picture in the night sky of something, you see all these streaks photobombing the entire image. Lots of stuff going on in low Earth orbit.
Now, Steve Kates, I remember you had a show. You're on every Saturday and Sunday from midnight to 2 o'clock in the morning, and you had a show about the what do you call them? The streaming from airplanes.
Oh, we were talking about the jet contrails, John. This is interesting. And we had a gentleman on there.
Any conclusions on that?
Well, the guest that we had, John, believes very strongly that it's a government event, and I don't know if I agree, but the point is, I find it a little hard to believe. I'm not the expert in the geoengineering area. That's why we have guests. But the simple conclusion here, so far, is that this individual believes very strongly that the government is pumping these type of aerosols into the atmosphere. And some claim, I don't know if I agree with it, I'm just reporting what I heard and what the listeners heard, is that there's particulates of aluminum. So what they're trying to do, if this is true, John, again, I can't prove it, we'll continue to investigate it on the Dr. Sky Experience, is that there may be some truth to the fact that if they want to change the heating of the Earth, that these aluminum particulates and other particles reflect light back into space, thus reducing, at least in some people's minds, the ability for the Earth to absorb so much heat. Now, that's a bizarre story if it's to many out there, or maybe many people believe it's true. John, the jury's out, and we're going to keep investigating this until we get some other sides of the story, so we can report it on the Dr. Sky Experience with accuracy.
We have anybody left that feels that the Earth is flat?
You know, John, it's so funny. There are some people out there, and actually there was actually a fake that was produced by AI in one noted astronomer who always believed, of course, that the Earth is round. But now you can do all these things. You have to be careful out there. If you go out like we do on media, somebody apparently deep-faked somebody, and this particular astrophysicist was saying in his own voice, yes, he believes now the Earth is flat. So I don't know too many people, John, that really believe that. But again, right, we have to be careful of what people can do to us. They could make what you're saying the opposite, or make what I'm saying totally opposite. So you have to be careful of what you see on there, especially on the internet, John.
Yes, absolutely. Especially this AI, I really don't trust it right now.
Well, absolutely, John. There's good sides to it. You know, where people can go and have medical procedures with these scientific instruments, little Da Vinci's. That's great. But if indeed we wind up having something go out of the box, well, not to scare the listeners on Sunday, but they're all too smart to recognize that that could be a dark side of this whole thing called artificial intelligence. We'll have to see and hope for the best.
Thank you. Steve Cates, anything else for Sunday morning?
Well, John, I want to mention something people can see. And now, if people look tonight, Sunday night, into midnight, into the morning of the 17th, if you have clear skies, the Leonid meteor shower begins. It's from the constellation Leo the Lion. It rises around midnight and high up in the sky by its sunrise. But, John, in 1833, before he became president, Abraham Lincoln witnessed what we call a giant Leonid storm. And according to many reliable sources, John, way back then, they didn't have internet, there were hundreds of thousands of meteors per hour. And in 1966 in southern Arizona, John, can you imagine seeing this? Around 5:30 in the morning, there was a stream of meteors and a storm so powerful, there were over 500,000 meteors an hour for about an hour. That would be off the charts. So the Leonids, you never know what you're going to get. And sometimes I get emails at drsky@wabcradio.com that say, well, Dr. Sky, you told us we're going to see meteors. And meteors are very fickle, John, just like they all come from comets. And one person said, a noted comet discoverer, that comets and cats are alike. How are they? Well, they both have tails, and they do exactly what they want. So all these meteors are coming from comets. How about that? Isn't that interesting?
Steve Cates, Dr. Sky, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again next Sunday.
Always a pleasure. Have a good Sunday morning, and you and the listeners. Thank you.
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.
What I bought? A new Blink Mini 2K Plus smart security camera. What I got? 2K clarity sharp enough to see every detail of home when I'm away. Plus audio like I'm in the room, not with my bestie traveling to another city. Plus easy plug-in setup to install faster than skipping through podcast ads. But you'd never skip ads, right? Plus, I got all of this for just $49.99. Blink Mini 2K Plus. Mini camera, max performance. Shop now at Amazon.com/Blink.